Step into the arena of minds. On this channel, every move is a clash of strategy, every sacrifice a turning point, and every game a battle for glory. Watch two players push the limits of creativity and calculation, as we bring you the drama, suspense, and excitement of chess like never before. Wesley launches 1. Perseverance, elit, and attention. C4, like a sweeping opening curtain, claiming airspace on the flank and testing Mamedov's central resolve early. Mamedov replies 1. Helpless, iyong, in the known way. Andes. Now dozen, Hemnumosen, piliin. E6. With calm precision, tightening his formation and preparing a sturdy counterpunch against Wesley's expanding wings. Wesley brings out 2 bansa. NC3, a flexible night jump that fuels central tension and hints at fiery ambitions brewing underneath. Mamedov answers 2 piliin. At an momentum and a deonkreinsteinisumian. No nj, and in iyong. D5, a bold central strike that challenges Wesley's ambitions and anchors Black's presence firmly in the heart. Wesley advances 3. D4, locking the center into a tense duel and signaling readiness for a full-scale strategic confrontation. Mamedov develops 3. Piliin. 101. In der Szene. Elschön dieser Mog. Bessian. Mooni. NF6. Eyeing key squares and stirring the battlefield with pressure that tests Wesley's early setup. Wesley places 4. Piliin. NF3, confidently, reinforcing the center and preparing his forces for sharper clashes soon to ignite. Mamedov fires 4 piliin. Men, banang, attenmentis, adeno investoclia, azunan, anadi. Intgamana, anesthesia. C5, cracking open central lines and daring Wesley to engage in immediate tactical exchanges. Wesley accepts with 5 piliin. C65, opening corridors and unleashing tension as pieces prepare to vault into fierce combat. Dotty. Mamedov replies 5 piliin. Ende. Enten, endalen, indianen, outpalen, pesten. Next 5. Reclaiming space, with aggressive intent, and activating his knight as an early battlefield spearhead. Wesley throws 6 piliin, and Disney wins. E4 forward, a powerful central stab driving back invaders and setting the board ablaze with sharp threats. Mamedov counters 6 piliin. Unemokimolen tiernis 6. Ulnenaniun denenmund, nesen, oblien, with so resananish of the seolone. Enda, honin, pelin. In C, capturing cleanly, while restructuring tension, and forcing Wesley to reconsider the balance of power. Wesley recaptures 7. Piliin, demoden midgame, bxt3, strengthening central squares and sharpening open lines that promise tactical fireworks ahead. Mamedov, snap 7, piliin. Anti-NTL. TX4, accelerating exchanges and prying at Wesley's formation with crisp, provocative precision. Wesley answers, 8, put, in always sinnen. CX4, restoring order while expanding central influence and preparing his pieces to surge into action. Mamedov, checks with 8 points. Estin, Ender, Anistigazin Burokona, Hemselimenba, Endialfo. BB40, a probing shot that disrupts coordination and pushes Wesley to reveal his defensive intentions. Wesley calmly plays 9. BD2, interposing with purpose and signaling readiness to convert defense into sudden counterplay. Mamedov captures 9 port. Unanei. Ennis. BXD2, trading bishop for structure while nudging Wesley's kingside toward earlier commitments. Wesley responds 10 toward east. QXD2, reconnecting his pieces and sharpening long-range pressure that begins humming across the board. Mamedov castles 10 ports. In. Nendans funny. Going you at catches Santan. No was this manish. Oh, tucking his king safely away while preparing the rooks to energize central and queenside operations. Wesley develops 11. Tail was BC4, aiming his bishop like a laser toward Mamedov's king, and accelerating pressure across light squares. Mamedov replies 11. And then, B6, strengthening his queenside fortress, while preparing his dark-squared bishop for active counterplay. Wesley castles, with 12 trich. Oh, finally securing his king, and freeing his rooks to join the escalating central conflict. Mamedov brings 12. Porten. Anani. Neonen. And Sien. And Share. Und Palma Kasset. And Sonse in B7, sliding the bishop onto a powerful diagonal and eyeing Wesley's center with patient menace. Wesley activates 13. Poldmainen. Efioni, centralizing his rook to add firepower and hinting at future breakthroughs through e-file tension. Mamedov plays 13. Precumus. Annesse. Day. N7, regrouping the knight defensively and preparing to reinforce key squares against Wesley's buildup. Wesley advances 14 turn. A4, expanding on the flank, and probing for weaknesses, as he prepares a queenside storm. Mamedov counters 14 turn. Naidobin. Inandaisaway. R8, placing his rook on an open file, and challenging Wesley for control of critical central lanes. Wesley improves 15 toward Anan. BD, tightening coordination, and pointing his bishop toward latent kingside pressure, ready to explode. Mamedov sets 15 party. Enter. Day. Q7, aligning queen and rook to amplify threats and eye counterplay against Wesley's stretching structure. Wesley pushes 16. A5, a bold thrust cracking open lines and signaling the start of a fierce queenside assault. Mamedov answers 16. In den stede, iyong say, and stemma. Mentinity. Has creating luft and tempering back-rank tension while preparing for long strategic maneuvering. Wesley mobilizes 17 punkte. Bravery, lifting the rook with creative ambition and preparing to swing across the board like a wrecking hammer. Mamedov shifts 17. Nessi. Antinen, Pezo, Pil, Isenon, Tavogan Fay. G8 centralizing his queen for defensive duty, while quietly eyeing tactical opportunities brewing ahead. Wesley fires 18 ports. QB2, tightening pressure on the queen side and linking queen with rook for a deadly coordinated strike. Mamedov continues with 18. And Penyomo, and Zesiyon, Chintan, and Nischil, Yadsa. Antin Ayin. RC7, doubling Rook's influence, and preparing heavy artillery to oppose Wesley's invading forces. Wesley captures 19 Porti. Axpiece, ripping open the structure and inviting chaos as the battlefield suddenly erupts with tactical chances. Mamedov recaptures 19. And then Axe B6, restoring balance, but leaving fresh entry points that Wesley's pieces eagerly watch. Wesley reroutes 20 die. ND2E, improving his knight's prospects and preparing decisive leaps into Mamedov's slightly weakened camp. Mamedov intensifies with 20. And Nyananki. Nyantuts. RF8, doubling rooks on the open file, to challenge Wesley's ambitions with steel resolve. Wesley supports with 21. Darcy. Hey3, giving his king breathing room and preparing for future kingside expansions without risk. Mamedov advances 21. Telstimenish tenis tedit. Bedso case. Estian. Nelton bonus serie. Can no. B5. Launching counterplay and forcing Wesley to reckon with a dangerous expanding pawn mass. Wesley answers, 22. Perigulmianas sonowun, Tepi2. RB3. Reinforcing queenside lines and preparing to challenge Mamedov's pawns with cold efficiency. Mamedov strikes 22. Unden, endisonesta tenden, estigen odenwe siwi. Eve. A central explosion that sharpens tactics instantly and destabilizes Wesley's carefully built structure. Wesley counters, 23. NF3. Improving knight activity and bracing himself against the sudden shockwave rolling through the center. Mamedov captures 23. Doi. Indeten, pen wobet fewer zessen, and is tent to be in shoulder juktoy. Nanen X4. Prying lines open with surgical timing and igniting a tactical fire across the board. Wesley recaptures 24. Perinaviananis and Maldenem Siwin. X4. Reasserting central control, while his pieces surge forward with renewed energy and threat. Mamedov pushes 24. End. Chain. NC5. Planting the knight aggressively and slicing into Wesley's queenside ambitions with fierce precision. Wesley slashes 25. XB5. Tearing down a vital pawn and testing whether Mamedov's position can withstand the material shock. Mamedov retaliates 25 to 9. Meaning. Well. QB6, counterattacking instantly and threatening Wesley with powerful pressure along critical diagonals. Wesley snatches 26. Ink 7. Zeitzing material and cracking open Mamedov's defensive shell as complications spiral wildly. Mamedov recaptures 26. Eins. Andamdeo. Kennis sarai penguin. Kimantavano planshay. Inidyo underpenyan. QXB3. Grabbing the rook and unleashing massive tension, as both kings stand on trembling ground. Wesley restores material with 27. QXB3. Pulling his queen back while maintaining threats swirling dangerously across the field. Mamedov responds 27. Anton. Me. XB3. Forking possibilities and keeping his knight aggressively posted deep inside Wesley's territory. Wesley activates 28. Tornoen, Pesho Mimodazin Esther, Pansidat. NB5. Bringing fresh pressure and aiming to uproot Mamedov's centralized knight with a timely challenge. Mamedov plays 28. Banmen. Pastolmen. Kenul and Henman. In a season, and told the many, is still worth hen, it rule that, it change. Arcone, invading the back rank with venom and threatening to disrupt Wesley's coordination, brutally. Wesley trades, with 29, pested. Arcone, removing the intruding Rook and calming immediate danger, while opening further tactical layers. Mamedov replies, 29. Estinapin, Antanesajet Danimamono, Adisht. Endgame, and Liwi, and Ilwinate, and Shizisheninja. Next Cone, capturing smoothly and preserving peace activity as the midgame rages on fiercely. Wesley positions 30t. The bone regrouping calmly, and pointing his bishop toward dangerous diagonals for coming confrontations. Mamedov answers 30 to ruin, Tewis. Eninya zot onomin. Interesting. Baz X, developing with menace and tightening pressure along long lines that aim at Wesley's heart. Wesley jumps, 30-40 parts. ND6, planting the knight deep like a spear and threatening Mamedov's kingside with sudden tactical stabs. Mamedov steadies with 31. Peasant Guru Ernint, Pimoil Cyril. Ents. Indestegentio. Nuwa Ikain, and Astenabation Shunsan. Fight. Tucking his king away as he braces for the storm, Wesley's invading knight is brewing. Wesley shifts 32. NF, redirecting the knight with sharp intent and eyeing critical squares around Mamedov's vulnerable king. Mamedov, defense 32. Intin. Tanto. Tanto. Istiles, and Mamonia was Jimmy. Anida. Inanis, Del Monen, Te Theme Ryan Panis. Net 1, launching a checking knight jab that forces Wesley's king to sidestep before danger escalates. Wesley answers 33. Hot duo, slipping into safety while keeping pieces harmonized and ready for a decisive counteroffensive. Mamedov brings 33, pet. In. Ansha. E8, recalling the bishop to guard key diagonals and stabilize defenses under Wesley's rising threat. Wesley leaps 34. Ne3, repositioning with purpose and preparing to tighten control over central and kingside fronts. Mamedov responds 34. Nendisi. On. Physics, anchoring the bishop solidly while eyeing coordination to weather Wesley's mounting initiative. Wesley plays 35. BD3, reinforcing central influence and sharpening pressure as he circles Mamedov's king with relentless intent. Mamedov counters 35. Unde. Ist. In c3, activating his knight dynamically, and probing Wesley's structure for weaknesses to exploit. Wesley advances 36. Power. Hurling a pawn forward to seize space and kickstart a kingside offensive with explosive energy. Mamedov, replace 36, piliin. Onan. Essay, indescenen, ingadonokay, pene. Inst. F6. Bolstering his defenses while bracing for the heavy storms, Wesley is summoning across the board. Wesley marches 37. Piliin. Kd3. Improving his king's safety and preparing to support the creeping kingside pressure with calm force. Mamedov answers 37. In erupt, and wuno pessimistical, and dina bandit kine. And K7, centralizing his king in hopes of coordinating a sturdy blockade against Wesley's active army. Wesley continues, 38. Kf3, marching his king closer to the action as endgame contours begin forming through the tension. Mamedov responds, 38. Einstein. Kd6, pushing his king forward boldly to contest the center and resist Wesley's emerging dominance. Wesley strikes 39. H4, gaining space on the king side and preparing a pawn wave to soften Mamedov's tightening defenses. Mamedov mirrors 39. Perstu. Onintan. Ulumayos siwanei. Ant. K5, guiding his king aggressively as he seeks counterplay amid Wesley's growing territorial squeeze. Wesley deploys 40. K. B6, activating the bishop with purpose and poking at sensitive lines around Mamedov's wandering king. Mamedov answers 40 T. Anen. Ansenjan. Amowain. Anivedamolis. Inzes. Oh. Anna. Katie. Key 4. Continuing his king's daring march while trying to rattle Wesley's advancing control. Wesley meets him with 41. Ansel. NC21, a precise knight check that forces Mamedov's king to reconsider its exposed adventure. Mamedov steps back 41. Inenda. In Cyril Amorizae. Este. Meanwhile, Day. Kassiev, retreating under pressure as Wesley's coordination increasingly dictates the battlefield rhythm. Wesley continues 42. Ne3, centralizing the knight again, and tightening his grip, as the endgame begins to tilt decisively. Mamedov replies 42. Undinanen. Nia. Hishene. K4, stubbornly pushing his king forward to resist, though danger coils tightly around him. Wesley calmly plays, 43. e7, planting his bishop on a dominant square and eyeing Mamedov's scattered pieces with menace. Mamedov shifts 43. Indent. Entezio. Isidida moral. Indent kenestie. NB5, trying to reroute his knight to safety, while seeking counter-chances against Wesley's advance. Wesley adds pressure with 44. BD5, tightening the noose, and eyeing key diagonals that spotlight Mamedov's precarious king. Mamedov captures 44. Endgame, and show. Bx5, exchanging bishop for activity to ease pressure, though risks still cling dangerously. Wesley snaps back 45. Nf, delivering a sharp check that forces Mamedov's king to scramble under intensifying assault. Mamedov escapes to 45. Pensuo, Andrei, Ndi, Bandio, Kai, Inisei, Elwa. Inimi. KC5, dodging the blow but leaving his position, trembling, as Wesley's forces gather fiercely. Wesley unleashes 46. X5, cracking open the center with a fierce pawn strike that exposes Mamedov's king to fresh dangers. Mamedov counters 46. Anton, One, Wilun, Resti. Ender. G6, pushing a pawn to shield his king while bracing for the avalanche Wesley is preparing. Wesley captures 47, Pimopedes, Thano Wilbin Mokian. In X6, snatching material with style and dragging Mamedov's kingside into a collapsing defensive crisis. Mamedov replies 47, Tendiu. Then, Tenawan. And then. 5. A desperate shove to clog lines and halt Wesley's pieces from flooding into decisive attack paths. Wesley continues 48. Nf7, planting the knight like a dagger deep in enemy territory and threatening lethal follow-ups. Mamedov strikes 48. Neon. Penenemy des Setmwiz. NV40, checking boldly as he searches for counterplay amidst Wesley's suffocating initiative. Wesley calmly answers 49. K3, stepping forward into the storm, and using his king as an active weapon in the endgame. Mamedov captures 49. Pistimonenda the newer Dinesolitsai. Imodif. Ninsili. Anan. Ben Penesiat. In Walsh. Kite step 5. Grabbing material but dragging his king even deeper into the battlefield's burning center. Wesley leaps 50. Knight shifting his knight to a tricky post and preparing to re-enter Mamedov's position with venom. Mamedov challenges, with 50 and 10, Morire, or Saninaisfo. Denin K. Kand. Endgame. Nesix, tightening defenses and covering vital squares as he clings to survival. Wesley strikes 51. Ingskid tearing down another pawn and further shredding Mamedov's fragile kingside structure. Mamedov answers 51. Passionate. Indeed. All. Eng7, regrouping defensively and shielding critical entry points from Wesley surging forces. Wesley reinforces with 52. Kf3, centralizing his king to dominate the endgame and prepare the final decisive breakthrough. Mamedov responds 52. Nenten. Almost a. K6, stepping forward to contest key squares despite the tightening noose Wesley's weaving. Wesley activates 53, to Ezion Etshe, Elchstu. Nefiv, placing his knight commandingly and threatening forks that force Mamedov into constant vigilance. Mamedov plays 53. Anden, Andenau. An. Kf6, trying to stabilize his king as Wesley's coordinated pieces press relentlessly. Wesley jumps, 54, caged. Nc4, slicing into the position with renewed energy and eyeing weaknesses along Mamedov's exposed lines. Mamedov tries 54. Ken. Endem detail. Distance George Glorstanhe. And then Ventilation Campaign, Kijiwa Penny. N at 5, repositioning his knight defensively while hoping to create a fleeting moment of counterpressure. Wesley counters with 55 dirt. Na3, aiming directly at sensitive squares and renewing threats against Mamedov's collapsing layout. Mamedov answers 55. Unen, Danizo, Hedsen, and Biriastau. Undenodis Ken, Kilimban Gestigoris Demon, Ainstilbonen, Pamid Padadaha, Chanin, Alwin Mal, Dinorsiwa. Eng7, circling the knight back to reinforce cracks as Wesley's momentum grows unstoppable. Wesley advances, 56. A5, a powerful pawn jab that wedges open Mamedov's defenses and prepares decisive infiltration. Baichi. Mamedov defends, with 56. Anda Nididya. Anda. Nesix, trying to plug holes, though Wesley's forces continue pouring forward with crushing intent. Wesley plays 57, Tory Jail. K3, bringing his king closer to the action and readying the final coordinated assault. Mamedov replies 57, Penizha or Mulbinowuan, Entertenesseerreich. Unenke. Adia, anike. Int. Hanan. End fight, clinging to the last defensive squares as the position slips rapidly beyond saving. Wesley drives 58 parent. Cat 4, shifting his king aggressively to support the kingside pawns and push the attack over the edge. Mamedov responds 58. Int. Anti Limia bin Paumolien, et Tibeningssangniger, in Norden, et tu. Nesix, still maneuvering desperately as Wesley tightens grip around every escape route. Wesley continues 59, perched. E, solidifying his structure, and preparing to advance the kingside pawns with lethal precision. Mamedov plays 59. Onwunde Nichun, Taliana plays, Testel. End fight, repeating under pressure, as Wesley's stranglehold turns nearly absolute. Wesley marches 60 poor. ND5, delivering a crisp knight check that forces Mamedov's king into an unforgiving decision. Mamedov steps 60 kante, Mamedov steps 60. All-in. Endemani siege. K6, retreating under fire as Wesley's pieces dominate every approach with terrifying coordination. Wesley advances 61, Petrolmeoorlianes handed Troy. Ka5, pushing his king fearlessly into the fray, and signaling the beginning of the final collapse. Mamedov captures 61 piliin, Paches 61, Tirs. Endgame, Penmund Kessenin, Kemanan, Enten Chastidinology. Oh? K5, grabbing a pawn but wandering deeper into a maze of unstoppable threats. Wesley finishes with 62. H5, reclaiming material while unveiling a winning king and knight formation that seals the game's fate. That's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to bring you even more exciting chess games. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.